response. This task force is going to reflect, as you see it before you, a strong collaboration among law enforcement agencies. We are talking and working together. Police departments, sheriff's deputies, prosecutors, we will be sharing information, coordinating investigative strategies to address these crimes. This level of partnership is a true testament to the collective ability that we have to hold offenders accountable and enhance public safety throughout our community. Now, my office and these agencies are committed to protecting the economic vitality and safety of Portland, and this task force is really representing a step forward in that effort. And I want to make sure that we have a clear message that is put out. To the victims and the businesses, we're here to support you. To the criminals who would prey upon those businesses, I want you to know we're coming for you. We are fortunate enough to have one of the businesses that is a victim in our community, the general manager of the mercantile store, Eric Moffitt, here present today, and maybe we can have him speak with us for a moment.
I'm Eric Murfitt. I'm the general manager of Mercantile Portland. It's a family-owned business. It's been downtown Portland for 50 years. And we have sustained challenges in the 50 years to our business through economic challenges, but also through challenges of being victims of crime, including a massive break-in in 2020 where over a dozen people came into our store and took merchandise and destroyed things for a total cost of $815,000. We have since then had windows broken. One window was smashed with some garments pulled out through the hole in the window. We had somebody try to break in through two different walls in the building. It's, as the district attorney mentioned, it's had an enormous toll on our 16 employees who come down every day and need to serve our customers. And it's just, it's a conversation that we have all the time. Is safety of our employees. We have bars on our windows now. We have bars on our door. We have a doorbell that our customers ring to get into the store. And it's a challenge to do business that way, but we've been doing it for 50 years and we'll continue to do it. But we do need help, and other retailers I know as well need help addressing these kinds of crimes and holding criminals accountable for what they're doing to these businesses.
Chief Day?
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Appreciate that very much. Bob Day, Chief of Police. Good morning. Just really grateful for the opportunity to be a part of this. Appreciate the DA's leadership. Appreciate the collaboration you see here. This is an example of existing work we are doing across the metro area, across the county. As law enforcement leaders, we are unified in our approach. We see this as holistic. We know that crime does not stop at a city border or a county border, but really impacts all of us and impacts all Portlanders and all residents in Multnomah County. So really grateful for that once again. This is another iteration, another step forward for the Police Bureau. The last couple of years, we have had a heavy emphasis on reducing crime and the fear of crime, and we are seeing success in those areas as we are seeing numbers drop, particularly in areas of violent crime that we focused on. Our gun violence down significantly, our homicide rate being down. We have focused some efforts around retail theft and around stolen vehicles, as well as human trafficking, and our regular efforts to disrupt open-air drug markets as well as drug trafficking organizations. But we have not been as attentive as I would like for us towards property crime specifically, and we talk about the vandalism and the thefts, particularly the crime of burglary, which, as the DA mentioned, we know is very intrusive, has a tremendous impact, real trauma experience from somebody entering into your private space and either taking things or rifling through your belongings, whatever that might be. So not only that impact on business itself and on communities, but also that personal invasion. And historically, we saw a lot of theft tied to drug addiction. That was not an uncommon parallel to make, but we're seeing today more advanced fencing operations, things moving online, more structured approach to these widespread theft efforts and break-ins, and that's why we need this more holistic, collaborative approach so that we can marshal all of our resources and be intentional. We also know that in the area of property crime enforcement, that oftentimes it's a few people that are doing a significant amount of these crimes, and so we believe early on we can be quickly effective in identifying maybe some high-end actors that will then maybe bring some of these numbers down. Last week in the city of Portland, we had about 60 reported burglaries. The week before that, about 68 reported burglaries. And so, this is something that is impacting Portlanders directly. Proud to be a part of it, but also proud of the fact that it's going to really service all of Multnomah County. And I think we're going to see some results rather quickly to begin to provide some of that justice and support to our community that's suffering with these crimes. Who's next?
Thank you, Sheriff.
Oh, Sheriff, thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Sheriff Nicole Morrissey O'Donnell, and I just want to first say that I'm proud to stand alongside all of our partners here today to advance this important initiative. I'm confident that this task force will make a meaningful difference in our community, and it will help strengthen public safety, which is my #1 priority. I'm continually impressed by the work that MCSO is doing and their efforts when it comes to investigating Multnomah County burglaries. While I can't go into specifics of an ongoing investigation, I would like to share an example of the dedication that our deputies bring to these cases, and this will be the same dedication that they bring to this task force. In September, one of our patrol deputies opened an investigation into a series of countywide burglaries. The initial work expanded into a very complex case. It involved stolen firearms, drugs, and multiple suspects, which required multi-agency collaboration. With the support of the district attorney's new burglary task force, we will be able to leverage additional resources and pursue this case as well as other cases with the full weight of our justice system. Together, we will arrest those that are responsible. We'll disrupt criminal activity and return as much stolen property as possible to the victims who deserve justice. We're committed to ensuring that our victims don't feel left behind or left feeling forgotten. Take, for example, another case of a 72-year-old Multnomah County resident named Gary. Gary's lived in the same house for 44 years, and until last May, he had never had to deal with a burglary. He described feeling violated. He since has spent thousands of dollars to enhance the property with fencing and a new alarm system. And he commented that he feels like he's on guard 24/7. During the investigation, one of our deputies recovered some of the stolen property after they had executed a search warrant. And Gary had commented that he certainly didn't expect that. He described the MCSO deputy that was investigating this crime as very responsive and professional. He also shared that he is in full support of this new burglary task force and that he hopes that it helps victims in the future. A safer Multnomah County isn't just something that we hope for. It is something that we build, and we are building that today through strong partnerships, investigations that are collaborative with all of our agency partners, and we all have a commitment to public safety. Our job in law enforcement is to protect our community, and this task force will enhance our ability to do that. Thank you, and I'll now turn it over to Gresham Chief of Police, Travis Goldberg.
Thank you, Sheriff. Good morning again, and I'm Travis Goldberg, Chief of Police for the City of Gresham. And I can't tell you how grateful we are to be a part of this partnership. As we have seen success before, when we gather together and work together, we are better together. So I'll remind all of you that this is I think the third opportunity that we've gathered in the last year around crime in our communities. Retail theft, auto theft, and now burglary. It's important that we have an opportunity to share information, to collaborate on investigations, and to ensure that our communities are safe. I want to thank District Attorney Nathan Vasquez for his leadership. I also want to thank our partners for the work that we do continuously throughout the year around keeping our community safe, but also for this opportunity to focus on something that is impacting our communities. While Gresham is seeing some trending in certain crimes lowering, and specifically around burglary, just last week, as the sheriff has shared, we too had an investigation, while I can't go into the details, around a ring of crimes associated to burglary. And while that's still ongoing, it just highlights the fact that just one is too many. And so this is important work, and I just want to say thank you for you all being here so that we can tell our communities what we're doing for them and also to keep us focused. And I will now turn it over to Chief Wallace.
Good job. Thank you, sir. Good morning. I'm Jason Wallace, the Chief of Police with the Port of Portland, and I'm here to show support for this task force. And again, much all like the other chiefs and leadership have said, we do work together very well in the region. People may not know that we collaborate every day on many cases and many issues, and this is another great example for the Port of Portland to be a part of the team. I will say this task force will enable information sharing on intelligence, obviously resource sharing, and data, which is the backbone of what we're doing in the region these days, and of course the analytics. So with that, I do want to thank the District Attorney, Nathan Vasquez, for inviting us to participate. We absolutely support this, and with the goal of reducing crime and holding people accountable. So with that, thank you, and I'm assuming if we have any questions, we will take them at this point if there's more speakers, but thank you.
Brief comments by DA Garcia.
Good morning. My name is Alexander Garcia. I'm a Deputy District Attorney here at the Multnomah County District Attorney's Office. I am proud to lead the prosecution as part of this burglary task force. As the District Attorney stated, I am the prosecutor that prosecuted the burglary ring that was prolific here in Multnomah County that was disbanded. I look forward to continuing that work and working with our law enforcement partners in holding these offenders accountable, identifying them, and aggressively prosecuting them. Thank you.
All right, we'll take questions if you have them.
Fedor with the Zartan with the Oregonian. I'm just wondering if you could speak to some more detail, what kind of things will be able to do now or are looking to do now that you weren't or were not able to do previously.
Sure. This is going to bring together detectives from various agencies, along with, we'll have investigators, prosecutors, and data analysts. And so this is kind of carrying forward what I talked about coming into office, which is a strategic prosecution type model where we are using data to look at what are areas that are being the hardest hit, what businesses, where can we find trends. So it is through that collaborative effort and that pooling of resources into a very dedicated approach that we're going to look to really kind of target and hit this area hard.
But can you give maybe one specific example, like data, like what kind of data?
Oh, sure. It can be, there are really kind of the two main areas. One would be, hey, there's an area, let's say along North Portland, in the area of Park Rose or along, Airport Way, where there's businesses that, why is it all of a sudden we have, 15 businesses in a concentrated area that are being hit, and we're using that data to look at that and then start to then get at the root cause, which oftentimes what we're finding is that's a ring of individuals that are doing that, and we're going to go out and interrupt that by making arrests and holding them accountable, with the goal being to limit, that instead of where we saw this one ring hit, over 100 businesses. We want to interdict that well in advance so we can shut that down. So it is really an opportunity to use data, use resources combined to interdict. Yeah.
This is a question for either the sheriff or the Chief Gresham. We heard from Chief Day that there were 60 burglaries last week, 68 the week before. Do you guys have those numbers of your jurisdiction of how many burglaries have been hit?
For the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office jurisdictions, we have seen a trend downward since about 2022, about 39% trending down. But again, that's data that we are continually monitoring, and having partners on this task force will also help us have a focus across Multnomah County, so we're not investigating just in our own respective jurisdictions. And I think that's where we have seen success, is when we're able to pool resources and collaborate together, with detectives that have the information on day in and day out on what they're seeing, this is where we're going to be able to help our community and ensure that we are improving community safety across the county.
Chief Wallace, do you have any numbers?
Thank you for the question. I didn't bring our numbers, but I'll just add this. So one of the biggest principles that I use at the airport, obviously we're slightly different. I don't have a lot of residential. So although our burglary rates are low, there's nobody that commits burglaries that only do burglaries. So what we find for our airport cases, when we do eventually branch out in the investigation, there's a link to everything that's happening in the broader community. So by participating in this task force, it impacts a lot of other crime that's taking place in the region. So that's the biggest get for us. We do have burglaries. I also have concern. We do have spikes that are seasonal, obviously with vehicle break-ins. And then my biggest thing is that I'm always concerned about is potential offshoot burglaries from those break-ins. So this is a great way for us to prevent that and interdict that. And we would much rather take people into custody farther away from their crime location safely and hopefully before they commit other crimes. So there really is a mathematical value to this, separate from just the reduction in the actual rates of those burglaries themselves. So yeah, thank you for the question.
And, I don't know that I could say it much better than Chief Wallace, but our last year numbers were over 350 for the total for the year. And this year we're trending down. We're about 250. So we've seen about a 21% decrease. But again, I think it's important to highlight that as we get excited about making that progress, that we can turn around last week and see something happen that significantly impacted our community members and our businesses. So again, I think that, as Chief Wallace said, there's a greater impact here when we get together. Again, I'll reiterate, we saw it around our work on auto theft, and as well as retail theft, and now we're focused on burglary as well. So I think, again, it's important that we're collaborating and sharing that information so that we impact the overall safety of our community.
We've heard lots of times in the past when big investigations happen how collaboration and working together across agencies is important. So I'm still trying to understand how this is different. Are there going to be prosecutors and detectives sitting in a room together regularly? Are they like stationed, assigned to this task force? Or are they just meeting when we have a crime?
Yeah, I mean, I'll certainly let each agency, if they choose to talk about what resources they'll put to it. But yes, it's going to be an assigned group that is going to have regular meetings that will coordinate on cases. So this is when we say a burglary task force, this is a dedicated group of individuals that will be routinely getting together. And then, they'll have one agency will bring in a case, and then another agency will say, hey, I have something similar. So we'll be doing that cross-jurisdictional work to address that. And where we've seen this be very successful is certainly the stolen motor vehicle operations have been a good example of that. But within my office, we've coordinated in the past similar strategic prosecution efforts and seen where this dedicated group meeting regularly, connecting on resources, has the outcome we're looking for.
I would just follow up on that, Nathan. So the police bureau's assigned a sergeant and 3 investigators to this effort. Last year, year to date, I think we've seen about 3,200 reported burglaries in the city of Portland. And I don't want to suggest that we haven't been addressing that. We've stood before the microphone several times in the last few months, really proud of the work we have been doing. But what this intentional effort does, as Nathan described, particularly having the prosecutor's office on board, allows for us to really be more specific and more intentional. At a time when all of our agencies are under-resourced, what this also does is it allows us to demonstrate to the community what a high-level, fully staffed, fully committed effort around crime reduction can do. And because of the limited resources that we share, by doing this together, it allows us to be more intentional in that effort. I think this is modern day policing as we know it, that we are going to have to continue to rely on one another to be able to have that impact. It's not lost on me that Portland has the lion's share of that. That's why we're coming into this committed with the resources we have. Obviously, that's going to pull from other areas of the organization. It's a commonly asked question, what are we doing if staffing's short? Now we're doing this, we did this. it's a constant challenge that I face in my role, is that prioritization and believing right now this is significant enough to build upon, that I think we can make, some real strides fairly quickly and see the benefit of that.
Some of you have already mentioned seeing downward trends in burglary. Why this task force now? We hear from community members that violent crime, for example, is still a concern, gun violence, homicides. So can anybody speak to why this burglary task force now?
Happy to, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the reason is that while things are going down, we're still very high. And our property crime rates, quite frankly, put us at a rate that I don't think anyone's happy with, which is that, we are sometimes listed in the bottom categories when it comes to where we're at for property crime rates. So have we seen improvements? Yes. We have very dedicated law enforcement officials who are diligent and working on this. What I want to see, though, is, and what we hear is, I'm not satisfied to say, hey, we saw a bit of a downturn. I want huge progress. I want to see businesses feeling like they have the support of their local public safety and making some real change.
I mean, just to build on that, we've reduced stolen vehicles by almost 60%, stolen vehicle theft by almost 60%, right? So we're seeing numbers reflecting, the early 2000s. We're never going to reach a point where there isn't any crime, where there are no burglaries. But I just want to emphasize Nathan's comments that, we are seeing success around violent crime. None of us are satisfied with the numbers where they're at. And around property crimes, they are exceptionally high. So stepping in and addressing this is also important, because I think it was maybe Jason mentioned that the nexus between a lot of these crimes we can draw connection to. So we catch burglars, if burglars have guns on them, we reduce, this and that. We catch burglars, we get stolen guns off the street, less chance of that gun being involved in a violent crime. I mean, there is a nexus and a connection that we can draw through this behavior. I'm confident that it'll impact that.
Can you paint a picture for us when you talk about 3,200 maybe burglaries in a year in the city of Portland? How much of that is attributed to individuals that might be connected to a larger crime ring? How many are individual actors? Just kind of paint us a picture, your best estimate.
Well, like I said, it's kind of all over the board. I mean, it's hard to be too specific, and the DA has far more experience in connecting the dots than I do. But just based on my personal experience in this role, I mean, as a police officer, we know that there are oftentimes a few individuals that are committing a high number of these crimes, and maybe that's true of the case that you had with, 100 burglaries. You didn't have 100 people doing 100 burglaries. And so, if we can identify some of those early on, there's always going to be the one-offs. There's always going to be, the exceptions. But I don't know that I would call them, organized rings or structured. But if we can find those high-end actors, that's what's really going to start to drive the numbers down. Then we can evaluate specifically from there.
Chief Day or DA Vasquez, we talked a little bit about the stolen vehicle operations and how those have been so successful. And looking behind the curtain at how those have been run, how much of that approach, that data-driven approach, is being translated into this new approach? I'm just curious if there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to talk about it. So certainly what we have seen, and I'll always be very quick to point out that the East Precinct officers who created that just did a phenomenal job with that. And it was a careful collaboration then with the DA's office, and then it brought in Gresham and Port of Portland and the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office. And so really that was a fantastic program that created the base and the foundation for this collaborative partnership. And then from there, yes, the data was very specific to stolen motor vehicles, but certainly how things were tracked and coordinated, and making sure that we are keeping close watch on are we having the right impact we want? Are we hitting the right areas? Those will be things that will be transferred over for sure.
Anybody else?
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate your time today. All right.
All right. Thank you.